Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality. While listening, you'll be exposed to inspiring, empowering, and unifying perspectives that I'm highly confident will yield stellar results in your life if you opt to try them on for size. Also, at optimistic.tv, we have officially begun releasing the first few episodes of our new late-night style, consciousness-elevating video variety talk show, Optimistic, which features live visionary art, soul share interviews, retreat guests here at the Mystic Manor, as well as live musical performances. I'm also super excited to announce that we are currently making plans to release the rest of Season 1 on my personal favorite online streaming service. So stay tuned to optimistic.tv to follow the unfolding development of this exciting Optimistic expansion, as we'll be posting more info and release dates there soon. And in the meantime, be sure to check out, of course, the first few episodes at optimistic.tv as well.
Hello, all you positive heads. On this week's P-Head Posse episode, our guest is positive head listener Olivia Mendieta. Olivia is the co-founder of the Rewilding Station, a community for kids to create, learn, and get in touch with nature. Hi, Olivia. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Alexa. I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy for you to be here too. I know you've been a listener of the show for a long time, and it's beautiful to bring you into the fold here. I also just realized, this is a little side note, but I just realized that because these episodes are kind of more now like once a month. They used to be every Friday, these P-Head Posse episodes, but now they're about once a month, and we changed up the intro a bit. So for those of you who are just tuning in and don't know who I am, my name is Alexa Hauser, and I host the P-Head Posse episodes about one Friday a month. And this is a segment where we bring the listeners of Positive Head on the show. And they get to tell their stories because all of you listeners are so ridiculously fascinating and inspiring yourselves. And Brandon wanted to find some time to dedicate to all of you. So, Olivia, thank you for coming on here and sharing your beautiful inspiration and wisdom. And so excited to dive into you and what you're doing in the world. But before we do that, let's start. Let's start at the beginning. Tell us your life tale.
Yes, I will start as a young child. Thank you so much, Alexa. No, really, I am actually starting as such a young child in my introduction.
Okay, that's great.
Because really, that is where it all started to what we are doing now in the Rewilding Station. So as a really, really young child, I was a bit of a wild child. Whenever I would get home, I just did not want to be in clothes and I wanted to be outside. So I just go running off, just stripping my clothes off. And it was amazing because my parents just really allowed me to do so. At the age of 5, I was going to a school for kindergarten, and we would pass a horse barn every day. And I would beg my mom to put me in horseback riding lessons. And that summer she did. And little did she know that was going to be a lifelong love and passion. Skipping to my teenage years, I really gravitated towards the outdoors. And I grew up in beautiful Marin County, where we really are so lucky to have access to such beautiful nature. And so I would just really find myself out on the trails, either by myself, with my family, with my friends, with my dogs, just really running or biking or hiking. And it was really so therapeutic for me. I relied on it as my therapy because And that moving my body would really move things through me. It was a little bit of my type of meditation. And I was quite a sensitive kid growing up, a young child, up till now, no, up and through my teenage years. I really felt the pressure of school and the school system. And then on top of it, I really felt the emotions and was really sensitive to everyone around me, especially my teachers. So I felt a little bit odd, and I really relied on that freedom of the outdoors. And so anywho, that the nature, the trails, everything, the movement, that was my type of therapy. So when I went to college to get my bachelor's, I studied kinesiology, which is the study of body mechanics and movement. After I received my bachelor's, I had no clue what I wanted to do. So I packed my bags, I moved to Spain, and traveled South America. And that was such a big because I really had to find home within myself. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the language at all. And I was working with kids. So trying to communicate with the kids for a year, there was a couple panic attacks, but I really found home in myself, which was amazing. On my return, I worked back to the States. I worked as a physical therapy aide, going back to the kind of kinesiology world. And I worked with patients one-on-one. And I really loved doing that because you could kind of see their movement starting. It was therapy for both their body and their mind. But I had this yearning to not only help individuals heal, but communities heal. And so I went back to school. I got my master's in public health in 2016. And that's actually when I found this podcast, the Positive Head podcast. And it was really interesting and really beautiful synchronistical. What's that word? Synchronicity timing wise. Yeah. And because as I was learning about communities and healing communities from a local to global sense, I was also diving into the spiritual ideas that we are all one and we are in this collective experience. So that was really amazing to kind of coincide with what I was learning at the time. So after I graduated with my master's of public health, I worked for this nonprofit organization with this incredible mission where I was doing nutrition education and gardening education, and everything I would grow with the kids on site would end up back in their cafeteria. So it was really incredible to be a part of that and, working with the land and the kids really being able to see that life cycle of plants. And I just, after that was pretty recent. And then after that, I really felt a pull to go back to horses and teach with horses, where the horse really acts as a bridge. And I still work with horses today as not only a connection back to the horse, but the kind of connection with nature around us and the connection to ourselves. And then today we recently started the Rewilding Station. And it was really interesting to kind of watch my journey because I felt a little bit all over the place where I didn't know why I was being led here or led there. And I didn't know, I was like, shoot, like these aren't going to connect, but I'm following my passion in some way. But now with the Rewilding Station, like my eyes are so open to, whoa, like this is all connecting. And I'm able to take all these little experiences into the Rewilding Station to hopefully really bring my joy and share that with kids to find their joy and their passion.
I love it. And it's beautiful. And thank you for sharing that. It's really cool because I know you outside of this, and it's cool to see how all the things that you're doing now and you're so passionate at and you're so skilled at really were like a part of your journey all along. They've just kind of all come together in these beautiful, initiatives. And yeah, so first of all, I really want to dive into the Rewilding project because it's awesome and it's so needed right now. Because of like what's happening as we're recording this, we're under quarantine. It's what is it? May 7th, 2020. Yeah. And we've been in quarantine now for like about a month and a half, I think. And and
almost 2 months.
yeah. And a lot of parents, a big focus, a big thing that has come up as a result of this quarantine has been like parents and children being home and not being able to go to school and not even really necessarily being able to go outside or run around or socialize in the way that they are used to. And so, a lot of things, and then parents being so overwhelmed, feeling like they have to teach their children things that they don't know, they don't feel equipped to teach,
Absolutely.
and not wanting their child to stall in terms of development or education. So, it was a really beautiful timing that you started this initiative with the Rewilding Project. And I would love to just dive into that more and, about like what it is and how it's, really helping parents and children right now during
Yeah.
this interesting time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll like talk a little bit about how it kind of came to be.
Yeah.
So one of my good friends, Sorsha, and I help her run horseback riding camp over the summer. And as this time was coming, we were just kind of like, man, we really want to create a community where it's not only for horses, but it's diving deep into nature, into art, and all this stuff. And we were thinking about that for camp, not just broadening it beyond horses. And then I was actually talking to Ambrosia, and she was like, yeah, good luck, because how are we going to do that in person? And I was like, oh man, this is where I'm going to have to show my face online, right? And I have had so much resistance to that, but it's becoming way more natural. And it's interesting because as it's becoming more natural, I'm finding myself to be more free and easy. So
Yeah.
anywho, so we switched our idea to kind of this thing online where we could still create a community, because we were thinking, Sorsha and I were thinking, man, these kids are at home with their parents, and it's at this time that it's a really crucial like development age where we're being social and learning communication skills and all that. And we want to create this community where kids can still get together and get to know each other while still creating and learning in maybe a different type of way than the school system, right? So that's where we really launched it. And so we have two different like sections in our rewilding station. We have rewild sessions, which are all getting in touch with your true nature. And when I say true nature, it's not always about the outdoors or getting in touch with the soil, with Mother Earth, but also getting in touch with your own true nature, what brings you joy, sitting with your feelings, following your passion, right? So that's what we kind of want to deliver in the rewilding session. So that's anything from connecting and learning about different types of animals, gardening, cooking, baking, doing art, music, and then also bringing on special guests to share their wisdom and their experience. That might be professionals in something that we're not. And just providing a base for somebody else to show their gifts as well. And then on the other side, the other branch, we're doing equine time on Zoom, and that's all about horses, right? Equine time rewilding style, we call it. And that's where all kids come around. I think it's from around the nation right now, and all on Zoom. We're talking about everything horses. And similarly, they're able to still be in the community and learn and move. We do like sometimes like act like horses and do like the correct foot, like to how to move their feet and stuff like that. So, and in both, I think I forgot to mention that we really want to create movement in it, because that is so healing and moving the body, and we're stuck at home. So a lot of times, either the whole session will be around moving, or we'll start with one song where we'll just dance or we'll stretch or something like that. And that just kind of gets our blood flowing and our brains working. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's so beautiful, and I know some children and friends' children who are in it and are just like loving this so much. It's just like feeding them, and they're, because they're in that crucial stage of like thirsty for knowledge and activity and expansion, and not only that, but I think really trying to understand how to connect in a deeper way. actually with their surroundings and with nature and what is nature and why is it important and animals and all of that. And so it's really beautiful that you and Saoirse, right?
Portia, yeah.
Are creating this platform in this community so that parents can feel good about like, you know what, I can enroll my child in this and know that they're getting some sort of like an expanding education and they're connecting with the earth around them, which is also, I think, one of the things that a lot of people are waking up to during this time as well is like how disconnected we've become from the earth and from
Right.
where we come from. And so it's actually something I think is really important to people right now, especially parents, to say, okay, I'm going to teach my child differently. So like, let's teach the next generation differently so that moving forward, something like this can't happen as easily. And so it's really nice, I think, and relieving for a parent to be able to say, thank you, you got this, like hand over the reins, and, also have an activity for your child like every day. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. And you hit on so many points that like are so relevant to me during the day. Like I've really witnessed, I mean, just growing up that so many of us think we are so separate from nature. We are in these houses where we barely have to touch the dirt. We have water delivered to us through a pipe and electricity when we flick on the light switch. And so much of us feels a little bit separate from nature, but in reality, we are so part of it, right? With the moon cycles, with the circadian cycle, with the sun coming up every day, and literally, like, even though we're stuck at home, that is our nature. That is how we're getting in touch in nature. Even if it's like a little spider in the corner, right? That's like, as for a kid, you're like, oh my gosh, that's nature right now. They're like kind of creepy, but kind of awesome. And it lights you up in no matter what way. And another thing that you touched on is about the parents, right? And feeling the comfort of being able to have this space for their kid to learn and create. And also, I think one reason we really wanted to do this is because we were thinking about the parents, and all of a sudden during the stay-at-home orders, they have so many roles, right? They all of a sudden are the teacher, the tutor, the mom, the everything. And so we wanted to, even if it was 1 little hour, we wanted to allow the parents to have a break or to learn along with them, to create a community with not only the kids, but the parents as well. And maybe allow a connection between the parents and the kids, or the guardians and the kids, And another fact about that is it's been so fun for us, right? Like it's been, Saoirse and I are able to tap into our own inner child and that fun and that play. And I have found just so much freedom in that. And like the kids, we're so excited to see the kids, and they're just, amazing reflections for us.
Yeah, no, it's been cool like to see you since starting this, because I've totally seen like your inner child come out in just like such a playful spirit, and you just seem so happy genuinely doing it. And yeah, like I said, I know some of the children and they're just so happy doing it. And I think communities like this are really needed right now, and just we need as humans to get creative, because this isn't going to necessarily go away anytime soon, even if things change a little bit. I think we're looking at like a total overhaul of the world as we know it, not to sound scary, but just like a lot of things are going to change. And so it's really comforting to know that people are thinking in this way and are setting up systems and communities and platforms so that, people and children can still connect and learn and grow, and that things don't just stop just because like the school system has stopped in the way that we know it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And there are times where I've found myself in so much fear, and there is so much fear, but it is so amazing the things that I've been seeing and and creating. I never knew this was going to happen, right? From this time. And so much of it has been such a gift. And I missed that. I missed that child's part of my side, you know, and I think a lot of people are being able to find that, you know, as we're doing more art projects, as we're listening to more music, as we're moving in our homes, you know, we have more downtime to sit and find ourselves, whether that is, you know, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully like this rewilding station can both stay online, and when we are able to gather again, create that, you know, interpersonal community as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Like to have both.
Yeah.
I think that will be beautiful. Yeah, because in general, I mean, even with camp, right? Like I went to camp and I'm not saying that all camps are this way, but I do know many people who went to camp because I was raised Jewish and many of us went to camp, and it's a Jewish thing for some reason. And I really is. Maybe it's just Jewish overnight camp, but it is like in
I just
our culture.
I just laugh because in Marin County, like most of my friends are Jewish, and it is so true.
Right?
I just can relate because I understand.
Yeah. It's a thing. Like it's just a thing. You
It
go to
is.
camp
Yeah.
because a lot of I grew up in like a town where it was more less Jewish, and and nobody there went to camp, and they were all like, "What are you doing this summer?" And I just thought that was a thing. Anyway, I digress. Camp. So I know a lot of people that went to different camps, and at my camp, we weren't like there to like connect with the earth. We were there kind of to like we played some sports, and we were outside. I mean, we had bunks, you know, so we weren't living outside technically. But, you know, there's a lot of nature around, but I was never being taken to nature and I went there for many years, since I was like 6 years old to maybe 7 years old to like 14 years old.
Mhm.
So I never remember being taken to any part of the nature to understand anything more about that. It was really kind of about socialization, which was beautiful. And I love my camp experience. But what I'm saying is, even now, as like camps and stuff like that exist, I don't know many communities that are really focused on this like rewilding idea.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's an amazing idea just to like put into the world as is. And actually, speaking of that, do you want to really explain like the meaning of rewilding? Because I don't know if like a lot of people know what that means.
Yeah, and you know, I think it can be taken in like different interpretations, right? For me, it on one side, it totally means getting back more in touch with our land, in touch of the rhythms of the earth and everything like that. Getting our hands in the soil, doing nature meditations. For kids, I mean, when they can play outdoors, all their senses are lightened, right? Like the sounds of the birds, who knows if they're tasting whatever they're tasting out there. Maybe not the best idea, but the smells, the touch, everything. It's a cohesive experience out there, right? And so I think there's so much to be said about education and outdoors, but it's also rewilding to me means kind of getting, like I had kind of mentioned before, getting in touch with our true nature. What is our body telling us? What do we need? Can we listen to the sensations of our body? Because we're so disconnected from that, right? Like
Yeah.
some people don't, you know, blow through meals, myself included, have done that because I'm not in touch with my own body, or you know, so like just functional sensations like that, or even what brings me joy, what brings me play, what brings me lightness, what brings me freedom, and going down that path. I think that's part of rewilding ourselves too.
Yeah.
So that is what rewilding means to me, both inside our own bodies and out in the natural world.
I love that. And you know what you just made me realize too? I've never really like thought of this before, how when you're inside and you're watching TV, right? Like you're likely, especially like children's TV. I mean, I remember when I was little and I used to just watch like so many shows, just like I would like binge the Disney Channel or like Nickelodeon or something, right?
Me
And I
too.
remember my mom would always be like, "Go outside." And I would be like, "No." Like I just like wanted to watch TV, which is, I mean, I still enjoy certain programs, but I would much rather be outside these days. Um so anyway, I was just thinking about how, in terms of like natural rhythms and stuff, when you're watching TV, you're going through a whole like, setup of like an introduction of like a story, then like a problem, then like the fight to like solve the problem, and then a resolution in the end. But this kind of like dramatic swing within the span of like 20 to 30 minutes usually, right? And then you're doing that over and over again. If you're watching TV, let's say for like 2 hours or something, and you watch like 4 or 5 different episodes within that time, you're like going through these like dramatic ups and downs. And each time a show ends, it's kind of like, oh, it's over. Like this experience is over. Whereas in comparison to nature, when you go outside, it's like nature is never over. Nature is expansive and ongoing. And when you're connected with it, you're aware on, I think, on a conscious level, but also an unconscious level or a subconscious level of how we are infinite and there is no end, and everything's just continuing to expand, and creativity is just evergreen. And so I just kind of realized that is like, I think that's why TV, in addition to there's just like a lot of other programming coming through TV, as if that's your form of entertainment, it just kind of made me realize how it's also that like it's just kind of, you're kind of being told like, and that's the end, and then you have to start again to get that same high. Whereas nature, it's like it's just giving, it never ends.
No, I really, really love that insight, and that like really brought to my mind when you are watching those shows, it's like a constant like spike in cortisol because you're feeling that experience, right? Cortisol come up, drop, cortisol, and there's so many stress and health factors that go along with that. And then, and even when we watch nature shows on Animal Planet or something, it's always about the chase. It's always about the kill a lot of times, right? Maybe not always. And so you're still getting that fluctuation in those stress hormones. And in nature, that isn't always reality, right? I mean, there is the cycle of life, and animals do need to eat. But when we really sit with nature and really look at it, it's quite often really peaceful, really present when and I have personal experience more so with horses than other animals, but there's this fluidity when you're watching a herd that it's very rarely, maybe like less than 1% of the time, they're fleeing from danger, right? The rest of the time they're energetically communicating, they're communicating with body language, and grazing for most of their time. And it's a really peaceful, cohesive experience where they do still communicate, they still do give boundaries, but it's not this fluctuation of stress all the time. Yeah.
Totally. And then you're like, oh, it totally makes sense why, like, and again, this is not to like, not like if you're watching TV, it's fine. Like some of it, like I like certain TV shows, it's fine.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, we all do. It's okay. But it's like, I'm just genuinely thinking of me as a child sitting there being like, no, I want to watch these like in 3 hours of TV instead of being outside. Cause I just felt so disconnected from outside. I didn't really know how to interact with it. But it's like thinking about kind of this transition we're making as a society and as a planet, basically, and going, if you want to talk about 3D to 5D, stuff like that, it makes sense why, TV has been this big thing in our society, because TV is all about like telling the story, and the story always has this, like we said, this kind of drama and this challenge and this arc. Even when you're watching something that's natural, they're making it into a story because they want you to watch it and pay attention. Yeah. And so now we're moving out of this, like everything. Well, when you're watching that constantly, no wonder we think that life is hard and things always have to be challenging and that there's always something to overcome. It's not to say that there isn't always a challenge in life. Of course there will be, but it's like, I think it amplifies it to a level that it does not have to be. And so when we start to unplug from TV and that's those stories and the story of, everything's always a struggle, and we plug back into nature, we remember and start to reprogram ourselves, which is like going with a rewilding, right? Reprogram ourselves to like, no, actually things can be a lot more simple. When we look at the horses, things can be peaceful, things can be beautiful, things can be easy, you know? And so I think that is like a whole parallel thing that's happening as people are rewilding and starting to connect with nature as we move into this like 5D experience.
Absolutely. And I actually like really love that you say that, because it like brings me to this point where like I like how you say there is things about TV to appreciate, right? There it's like such a creative modality or whatnot, right? And not only TV, but technology. Like our youth today has been born into something like we've never seen before. Technology is so advanced and there's so much to appreciate about that, right? Like medicine has never been so advanced. We can gain degrees online. We, can play like isn't video gaming an Olympic sport now?
I didn't know Olympic, but it's a bit. It's like
it's some. I think
sport.
I think I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know much, but about that. But I think it is.
Could be. Yeah,
it's moving into it, right? Through technology, we can learn way more about cultures and the world than we ever have before. It's like virtual traveling. There's so many cool things that technology has brought us. Like we have information at our fingertips. But I think it is like time, as you're saying, like to unplug a little bit, because we've dove so far into it, but to start connecting back with nature, to start using our senses in a more broad scale, right? And there kids can really learn and create and to develop in ways that technology can't offer. And they can develop into really wholesome adults by having a balance between the two, right? It doesn't mean that we have to unplug everything and live outside, but it does mean starting to just really think about that balance, right? And notice how it makes you feel, if it makes you feel a little bit better. And another thing is like this Rewilding Station is an online platform, right? And so it's almost like using technology can act as a portal to go back to nature. So we have our devices, right? But we're learning through our devices how to connect back to nature and connect back to ourselves.
Totally. It's just like being intentional. Like that's, I think, what we're learning is like everything in moderation, and everything like TV, technology, all these things, they're actually really tools. They've just been out of balance. And so it's like, with TV, for example, like when I watch TV, I'm like very intentional. I'm like, I want this drama. Like I want it, like bring it to me. You know what I mean? And with technology, it's about like learning how to use, because it's so prevalent. It's about learning how to use it, like you said, for things that are really going to enhance and enrich your experience. And I just also got this imagery when you were talking about these children who are learning about nature and connecting with nature, growing up into wholesome adults. They're also going to be growing up into adults who genuinely care about this planet because they are connected to it. It's just like your puppy, you're right. So connected to your animal, whatever it is, your horses, you're so connected. And when you're connected to something, you're never going to let anything bad happen to that. You're never going to let someone mistreat it. And so I think that's what's been going on. We're just like, oh, la-di-da, I'm just like living on this like rock. It doesn't, we were not educated about like that this is a living, breathing thing. I knew we lived on Earth and I knew it was important. Earth was important, but I never thought of Earth as like Gaia until recently. And now when I think of her, it's like, oh my gosh, like I want to protect her, at all costs. And so I think what you're doing is so important to the future, because the kids that are a part of something like this are going to learn at a very young age how connected they are and how important it is to protect this being that we live on.
Right. Totally. I so agree with that. And I love that. Like if you're not connected to nature, you're not going to know or have the drive to want to preserve or save it. Right. Yeah. And that brings me to another little thing that we do with our rewilding sessions is work with conservation, like learning to make our own toothpaste or soap or whatnot by using things we have in the household so we produce less waste, right? And just putting those seeds into both kids and parents' minds, and making it fun in the meantime.
Oh my gosh. And I think so many parents want to know how to do it. I mean, I know so many people are like, I want to know how to do this, but they feel overwhelmed with the information or like they don't know if they're doing it right. So for someone to know like and be able to guide you how to do it. I mean, so this is like for parents or children and parents too.
Yeah,
it sounds
totally.
like.
Yeah, it is really when you look at it and like just making a community within the family and then families together.
Yeah.
Totally. And then also creating this platform that isn't parallel with the school system. Sometimes like we want to create a space where kids can really be themselves and express themselves. And if we give them a little bit of quote homework to do, it's really something that we want them to have fun with. And if they don't have time or if they don't have the drive to do it, no big deal, right? It's supposed to be fun. So it's a place where we want to create a little bit of freedom, Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it so much. How can people become a part of the Rewilding Station? How do you sign up? What's the deal? And I know you said you had like something special for Positive Head listeners. So
I do. So to pretty much all our information is on our website, and the links to our social media pages is on our website at therewildingstation.com. And everything is therewildingstation.com. Our email is therewildingstation.com. At gmail.com. Rewildingstation at gmail.com. And Instagram, the Rewilding Station, Facebook, the Rewilding Station. And if you email us saying that you found us through the Positive Head podcast, we would love to offer a session free in both the equine time or a rewilding session.
Awesome. That's so nice of you to offer that to our listeners. Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you have kids, and you what do you have to lose? Definitely go check this out and email the Rewilding Station at gmail.com and mention Positive Head and get a free session. Try it out. I mean, oh my God, this is so awesome. So
yes, we would love to have you guys. And our idea about this was to make it quite affordable for everybody to connect. And just open arms, and we would love having everyone.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, definitely check out the rewildingstation.com. I think you can get all the pricing and stuff there. And Olivia, it was so nice to have you on. Congrats on this beautiful new project that you've created, and thank you for creating something like this. I hope to see much more of this in the future. And anything else you feel called to share before we wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I just really want to thank you for having me, and it's been really fun to talk and connect about this. And
totally.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Olivia, and thank you all for listening. As Brandon always says, journey well. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.